I'm stronger than I've ever been before. When you're feeling weak, we're stronger. We are strong. We're stronger. Stronger than we've ever been before.
Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Stronger with Armstrong. I am your host, Eddie Armstrong. And today, as always, we bring these episodes to you highlighting the extraordinary and ordinary people across the great state of Arkansas and their stories, their backgrounds. This episode, just like many others, are about making us all stronger through information and access to information. And today I am hopefully going to be much stronger after talking to my friend and guest and a Dogtown native, Kevin Kresse. Though he graduated from Catholic high school, to all my Catholic alums out there, we're just going to get that on the record right now. We know that Catholic is a good place. So a Catholic high school graduate, I've got some friends from North Little Rock that graduated from Catholic too. So Kevin, welcome to Stronger with Armstrong. Thank you so much for being on.
Eddie. Thank you for having me.
Humbled, truly humbled to have this opportunity. And more importantly, because I talk a lot about spirit and the essence of spirit. When I got the advice and nudge from my good buddy and homeboy John Crow out there to give you a call, he said, you know what a great interview would be? You should call Kevin. And this is before I knew nothing or anything about what's happening. We'll get into that today.
Okay.
I called you and you immediately obliged. But what led from that conversation, if you'll recall, was a walk down music history lane. And it spawned from your efforts with Johnny Cash and that great history that you've now set a cornerstone in. But before we get into all of that, I just am grateful that we've got this conversation, and I want you to share with our viewers all there who, in essence, Kevin Kresse is as a father, a husband, the man before the art. And then we'll go into class, ladies and gentlemen, because I want you to teach us today. But tell us who you are.
So I grew up number 10 out of 11 kids, just over here on West 20th Street in North Little Rock. 6 girls in one room, 5 boys in another. Everybody in my family, there was a big emphasis on education, literature, everything else. But the thing I think that as an adult looking back that I realized was if you wanted something, you made it. And so my mom made all the dresses for all my sisters. She made me, when I was 19, I wanted a white suit. She made it for me. I had a couple older sisters who were really excellent artists. So I see these things. I was crazy about Batman. My brother made me a mask out of this plastic set, So I don't think I even realized till later looking back, if you see something in your mind, make it, So I think that's where a lot of this art for me kind of came from.
So 10 kids, one house, she planted the seed. If you see it, you make it. How has that transpired into how you've made your family? Bridget, the kids, the 3 of them, how have you guys made the Kresse household?
Well,
and who are they to you?
Yeah, I think what was interesting about that was, I didn't know how to make a living. Like when I was in college, I knew I wanted to do art or music. Then I quickly found out I had no real innate talent in music, but I loved it as much as art. So the only way I thought you could make a living in art was either to go into advertising or go into teaching and teach other people how not to make a living in art. So I did advertising for a few years. And then Bridget and I weren't married yet, but she was doing stocks, securities, insurance stuff, and she didn't like that. We both took off for about 3.5 months backpacking through Europe. And I can remember it like yesterday, overlooking Florence, going, I want to try to make it as an artist. And so I came back. And, we ended up getting married, but I probably did 10 years of gallery shows, didn't sell anything my first 3 shows. And I was like,
you hear that, listeners? Didn't sell anything, first 3 shows. This is not a one-hit wonder. I like to tell people I'm a 27-year overnight success. It's taken me that long to kind of get, even if I am somewhere now, but It didn't sell the first 3 shows. And what
No.
took place after that?
Well, you do a lot of reflect, like, what have I done? Because I was fast tracking in the advertising world, being an art director at 23, 24,
Mm-hmm.
when I had no business doing it, but
Mm-hmm.
it let me see what I would be doing at 40. So I was like, I'm too far across the stream to go back. You just keep going. And I think, once again, having 10 siblings who were all supportive, and my parents being supportive, that helped me mentally think there's a net under me. You know, you don't want to abuse it or anything, but it just gives you this psychological feeling of you're covered.
Well, let's unpack that a little bit. So you've got a covering. Oftentimes people don't. I don't know if
people don't. Yeah.
I had a covering. I think Jackie said, all right, figure it out. She dropped me off and I had to figure it out.
Yeah,
Jackie's my mother. But you said a few things. There was a crystallizing moment in Florence.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to go back to that. Knowing that you had that covering and you were in Florence, Italy.
Mm-hmm.
I oftentimes have to just look out my front window and I teach my son, dream as big as you can from wherever we are.
Exactly.
May not be Florence.
Sure.
But then you said something that was really interesting, and I want to unpack it a bit. When you didn't land after your first 3, you didn't sell.
Right.
And that you were already at 24, but yet you could see where you were going to be when you were 40.
Right.
I'm oftentimes told, and love it or hate it, oh, you plan too much, or you got too broad of a vision, you know, just do today, one day at a time. But what happens when you're, per se, in your 20s and you can see a vision of where you may be in your 40s and you're already in the boat,
Mm-hmm.
in the water,
Right.
with the motor? You can't turn the boat around. You got to keep going forward. Shout out to Andre 3000, who says spaceships don't come equipped with rearview mirrors. Once you're already moving in the right direction, express to our listeners how that settled with you at 24 when you could see where you're going to be at 40.
I didn't even realize consciously that this was not the path for me. It hit me later that when I left my job, I had the tools, everything there to put together a portfolio to go look for a job when I got home. And I didn't do it. Subconsciously, I think I knew I wasn't going back to that life, but it hadn't moved up to the front of my head yet, into my consciousness. And then it did when I was in Florence. And it was very unsettling because I paid my way through college and everything. I had 5 brothers and sisters in college or med school when I graduated high school. So my parents, I'm always joking, were like, now what was your name again? You look so familiar, and good luck, you know, with whatever it is you're doing. So it was mine to say, all right, I feel like in one sense I'm flushing the toilet, but everything you do goes into the big cauldron of you. So those experiences are helping form you, but it's hard to see all of that at the time.
I see, yeah.
But then in Florence, it came to the front of my head going, I'm not going back to that. I'd been around, my childhood heroes were Michelangelo and Da Vinci and everything. And so there I was in the hometown of all of this going, this is where I'm going. And I don't care. I'm just going to go. And there's a big difference. I've always said too, going, I don't want that. I don't want this. I don't, and you're backing away from things and it's leading you in a direction, but you're walking backwards sort of towards it. So it's not as much power as turning around and walking towards what you want. And that was the difference.
So it takes some resilience there and some persistence and definitely a matter of fact of knowing. And another thing for our listeners out there, I caught this, 10 siblings or 9 others.
Yeah, 10 siblings.
Paid his own way. You know, it's not necessarily the financial flooring that one may have. It can be the security and knowledge and information of 2 parents showing you grit, hard work, that type of flooring. My mother showing me that no matter what comes in your way, you never lose, you always learn type of flooring. So though your flooring may not be financially stable, you paid your own way through college, came out, got your own job, and realized in your own moment that this is what you were going to do. without just knowing that, hey, I got a bunch of money at home to fall back on. Don't want people to get that twisted.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, is that once you run into those hard times, or you run into those things, and you say, you get to the other side of them, you go, well, I survived that. I can keep, you can keep going. And so that's kind of the path that got me there. The other big one, I think, came as when I did start selling work and things were getting a little better. And then Bridget and I at that time are pushing our late 30s, and we're like, let's have kids. And I was saying, I got to be responsible.
Yeah.
You know, I can't be scrounging around for change for Taco Bell.
Yeah.
That's not cool as a dad.
Yeah.
And Bridget, God bless her, she said, that's not who you are. We'll make it, you know, and keep being an artist.
Or they don't make them like that no more. Shout out to my producer. We talk about that all the time on the road. They just don't quite make them like that anymore. A true ride or die, somebody that's going to stick in your corner. So shout out to Bridget for being an exceptional spouse, a supporter, a mom. If you're out there and you catch this episode, we thank you too for allowing him to express his work. And any of the spouses out there living with great artists and allowing for them to be expressive through their work. You're going to take us on a lesson of sorts today, Professor Kresse. I was thinking this morning on my way in, listening to the old Schoolhouse Rock, back to school, I want to go back. You know that song? I know you remember that song. So we want to get a lesson from you today and expose our viewers and listeners. Let's dive into the art. One of my questions here that was proposed is, there's a real resurgence in art, especially outdoor murals. I think back to when I go to some of these towns I've been in. Every town in just about America at one point in time had a mural of the Coca-Cola sign.
For sure.
Somewhere in their town. And I've been a lot of places. Right. Gaithersburg, Maryland, to Magnolia, Arkansas.
Right.
Coca-Cola sign somewhere. Right. Graffiti comes along, and outdoor art gets kind of a bad rep for a while, but nonetheless, still art. Very much a part of the culture. There was art in addition to this Coca-Cola sign on some buildings back in the early days. My question is, why has visual art in public spaces reemerged as such a vital form of expression and connections in these current times? From Fort Smith, Arkansas to Little Rock and many others, they're connecting art to now the cultures of these communities again. And why do you think that resurgence has happened?
I think for a lot of times, I think the art world, you know, when I was coming up, kind of had a stuffy vibe about it. Like the museums and everything, and people feeling I don't know anything about art. And I don't think the art world helped, because I think they almost played upon that, going, well, you just don't understand whatever it is, abstract work, or, you know, especially when a banana taped to the wall sold for a gazillion dollars, people were going, and so I think a wall sort of came up between art and the general public. And I think there's something about when they see a mural, especially, or a public sculpture that has anything to do with their life, where they can see themselves out in public through that artwork, that they can relate to it. I don't think I quite got the power when I first started doing public sculptures, because I'd be there for the installation, but then I'm gone. So I'm not seeing people interact with it and everything. Doing a mural is a different animal, because I'm out there for weeks, and I have the people coming to me, or doing like the Dogtown Proud, they're honking at me going, we love it. You know, doing the 7th Street project, mural project after George Floyd. It's the first time I did a mural, and just learning the whole thing. But once again, and that's 3 blocks from my house, you know, so it's part of my community right there as well. And once again, the people coming by, you have no idea what this means to us. Hey, are you going to be here tomorrow? I'm going to bring you lunch. And they do.
Mm.
And you're sitting down having a conversation with someone you typically would never meet,
Mm-hmm.
you would think. That changes the dynamic of everything. And you start seeing the work through their eyes, and
Mm-hmm.
you're seeing it differently. And then it's making you think even more the next time you're doing something. You're taking your art and you're going, okay, what is this going to look like through their eyes as well?
Mm.
And how am I doing a good job of bringing the community as best I can
Into
this piece? Yeah.
Very different than sculpting. A lot of alone time per se, maybe some time with the family because they're giving, maybe, I don't know, do you have time when you were going through the Cash project or others? Did you spend time with the family to bring out the best representation of him, or was that?
Oh, Lord, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So family more so on something like that versus the community, which you're getting the feel, the touch, the reverence of those that come from the mud, so to speak, in those direct communities. That's very interesting. Let's transition to another question here. The big stage, the forever stage is what I'd like to call it. I was extremely honored when Daisy Bates' family, who's known me since I was a wee pup at my church, First Baptist, the second oldest Black church here in North Little Rock, Pastor William L. Robinson, and asked me if I would accompany them to Washington, D.C. for the unveiling of the Daisy Bates statue in U.S. Statuary Hall there in the United States Capitol.
Right.
And immediately obliged, paid my own way, and honored them in the most meaningful way I could to make certain I was there. While there, I was informed that my homeboy, Kevin, had gotten the nod and was working and would be bringing forth Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
So we got two in perpetuity statues now for as long as we will be alive, and not 100 years in the United States Capitol. The big stage for you and being honored as an Arkansan to erect that statue of Johnny Cash. Wow. Just amazing. How did that feel? Congratulations, number one.
Wow.
It's an honor. I don't know. What did you feel with being selected to, for those of you all that don't know, let's give you some information. Mr. Kresse was recently selected about a few years ago to erect the statue that is now in the United States Capitol and Statuary Hall of music legend Johnny Cash, one of Arkansas's own. And if you're in Washington, D.C., we encourage you to stop by and pay honor. But today we're sitting with the artist that actually created that. And I want to give you your flowers and say big shout out. Grateful that you represent us. But what did that mean to sculpt that figure as an icon like that?
Yeah.
And how did it impact you and your work?
Yeah, it was a national competition. Stepping back a little bit, one, I was really proud of the Arkansas legislature for choosing Daisy Bates and Johnny Cash.
Indeed.
And there were...
We get it right sometimes.
Sometimes. I couldn't think of two better people.
Indeed.
And so there were probably close to 40 sculptors around the country throwing their hats in the ring for these commissions. And I threw my hat in the ring for both of them. I mean, I would have loved to have been able to do Daisy Bates as well.
So there's a process there. You throw your hat in the ring. Someone asked me recently, how do these folks even get selected to do the sculptings in the River Market or for a city or for something like that? And so you throw your name in the ring. It's different, I'm sure.
Everyone's a little different, sure.
Okay.
But for this one, I mean, for both Daisy and Johnny Cash, my each of them was 64 pages long. I wrote 3 pages on my thought process behind it, 3 pages on what I would do and what was, the story behind what I was doing. There was a lot of hoops to kind of jump through and everything for it, which it should be. I mean, for something that big. So I, unfortunately, I didn't make the top 3 for Daisy, and then was for Johnny. I was the only Arkansas artist in the mix when it came to that, and so felt a lot of pressure. I really wanted to step up for the state for various reasons. One, to say world-class art can be made from Arkansas.
Indeed.
Two, I felt like I know the story of these people better than anyone else. I think there's an innate understanding. You're making thousands of little decisions along the way. And that's why I do a lot of research on anyone I'm doing, because I need to just embody that so that it feels right or wrong as I'm making these decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But the other two finalists, one already had 3 sculptures in the U.S. Capitol, and the other one was the sculptor for Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings movies. And I'm a self-taught artist from Arkansas. So
that's
I
good.
felt it,
That's
man.
good.
I
That's
felt
good.
it. And there was one night I was, I had the head of Johnny, I'm working on it, and I'm just going, talk to me, come alive, and I was almost just felt like dropping out of there's just that dark night that came. And then you brush yourself off and you go, come on, let's get back up, let's go. Because I think in my head, too, you get that idea. I'm a self-taught artist from Arkansas, especially when things start getting a little dark, that train can pick up some steam.
That rabbit hole.
Oh, man. And you're going, they're just going, oh, yeah, I got to do that Johnny Cash scene. And they've got a walking, talking Johnny.
The Lord of the Rings, and they can
boom,
auto sculpt it with the fabricator thing and make it something, and you got a AI image of Johnny standing next to you talk. I get it.
Yeah.
Great.
So I got to a point where I felt like he came to life for me. And I felt like I'd gone through this journey that I finally got to a point where if I won or not, I had proved it to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I still want to win, but I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
And that felt great.
Mm-hmm. That's such a lesson. That's rich. Life is like that. I teach Edison with all these Legos.
Yeah.
And he wants to break it down, but he'll come back and revive himself. And life can break you down sometimes. But when you're well within it for yourself, and the reward of the start of it and the finish of it is enough, the greatness comes out. And clearly you were selected once you had become well with it, huh?
Yeah, it felt amazing. What the other thing about that was interesting to me was you would bring your models in. So I had a 3 feet tall full figure of Johnny, and then a 1.25 life bust full of him that I'm bringing in the day before our presentations at the state capitol here.
Mm-hmm.
So you take it down to the basement to this room and you put it down. Well, the guy that I thought was really my biggest competitor, his work was there, uncovered. I kind of covered my work up and everything. So my son, Roman, who at the time was 16, was an amazing artist himself.
Shout out, Roman. I know where you are in California. I know you're out there on the West Coast, becoming one.
He's helping me because I live 90-second drive from the Capitol. So I said, okay, I'm bringing in the first one. I'm going to go back home and I'm going to get the next one, bring it in. So Roman's helping me. We get it down. I look over and I see the work. And I was like, swing and a miss. He didn't capture.
Okay. You knew you were one up.
And I was like, wow. So I'm going, okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And we're walking back to the car. And as soon as we're out of earshot and eye shot, Roman turns to me, doesn't say a word, and just hugs me. And I went. And once again, you don't know if you're going to win or not. But I was like, I had everything I'd proved for myself. And then Roman saw it. And I was like,
that's what I'm talking about. Oh, that gives me chills. A father-son moment like none other. And we're going to unpack these sculptings in a bit of this. But I wanted to dive into the next question. You know, that's moving. And thank you, Kevin. Thank you for what you've done for the state of Arkansas as a former statesman.
Yeah.
If I could present you a key or a citation on the behalf of Jane English and Representative Carr and Senator Scott and
Yeah,
all of
Senator
our
Miller,
members
yeah.
still of the legislature, our governor, thank you. From the state, we thank you for your contributions in this gift that you've given the rest of the world from Arkansas artists. So thank you. The process, let's talk about the process. Explain your process from a large scale structure of these busts and sculptings to a mural. How does the process work for you as an artist? I remember as a teenager walking by Miss Patterson's class, shout out North Little Rock High School, and always wanting to dabble in the art, but I just didn't feel I had the time to go through the process. I was too busy wanting to be all these other things that he wanted to do. So talk about the process of an artist or for you all and how you get to the clay and all of the things.
Well, anytime, like I said, I do a lot of research if I'm doing something like this.
Okay.
Now, fortunately for me, like with Johnny Cash, I had already worked on Johnny Cash because in 2016, I received the commission to do a bust of Levon Helm from the legendary band, The Band. And he was
Woodstock.
Levon Woodstock,
Helm.
right? Levon Helm. And
Paul Berry, my man.
There you go.
All the greats. An amazing artist. We're going to get into that too, but go ahead.
So they were going to be restoring his home in Marvel. Well, he was from the suburb of Marvel, Turkey Scratch.
Turkey Scratch.
And I'm driving back, and once again, loving music, being, I like to write songs and do things. It started hitting me how many amazing world influential musicians came from Arkansas. And I was going through my head, I was like, oh my God, Al Green, Johnny Cash, Big Bill Broonzy, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, Louis Jordan, Glenn Campbell. It just kept going. And I was like, in Marvel, they were telling me they had people on, the house had not been opened and restored yet. And they would find people from New Zealand, Japan, all over Europe on his doorstep. And I was like, you're kidding. They were doing the Mississippi Blues Trail coming over the hill on the bridge to find where their Arkansas heroes grew up. And there was nothing there for them. And I was like, holy moly, this is low-hanging fruit from one of the most economically depressed areas in the country. And in Mississippi, they were taking some of those little shotgun shacks, turning them into Airbnbs. They're accommodating all the tourists that are coming. And so I started going, oh, Lord, there needs to be a trail through here. I thought I was going to have to do it all. And it turns out that there was already a Soil and Soul trail.
Okay.
But there just wasn't a whole lot. But I thought, I'm just going to start.
Okay.
So I started doing Al Green, Young Johnny Cash, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, Louis Jordan, Al Green, Glenn Campbell. I just started on my own, going, hopefully I'll find a foundation or something. And then I was working on Louis when the DC project came up.
Okay.
So what had happened was after I won the commission, got Johnny, my profile goes up.
You went viral.
Bingo.
That's how it happens, Edison. I got it. You went viral. Let me take note. Keep going. Keep going.
So I had meetings trying to do this on my own. And then once John Godin and Scott Landers, just talking to them, they take it and it's just jet fuel.
Wow. And my good friend, the Raging Cajun, John Godin, though a Louisiana boy, he has been such an angel and a gift to North Little Rock. Him and Corky have just been a godsend. I remember moving back and inheriting them and just what they've been able to do for Argenta, and the best is yet to come. I got to pause you because that's a real fast track to go from this blues trail. For our listeners all over the world, you said there's a blues trail and then there's a Southern Soil trail, correct?
They call it Soil and Soul.
Soil and Soul Trail, okay.
Yeah.
They can find, let's Google that. And then there's a blues trail
Well, there's a blues trail in Mississippi.
Okay.
And so when I was I went to Parks and Tourism years ago when I was just trying to, my one-man band, and going, hey, and I brought in articles from about how many millions of dollars Mississippi was bringing in for the tourism, and they just have markers. And I said, we have more name recognizable musicians from Arkansas. And anyway, like I said, until John Godin and Scott Landers got a hold of this.
Well, we want to take them down to Helena and spend some time with my friend Harvey Williams, and let's bring that thing up from Helena and Cherry Street all the way to North Little Rock, and what we're going to talk about with our new park coming. But going viral, I guess I could ask this question, but you're probably still floating on a little air because things are moving so fast. But it's about staying grounded and creating or being able to keep your creativity nourished and harnessed. Going from this Johnny Cash opportunity and in essence going viral or your profile blowing up to now bringing it back home, how have you stayed grounded and as an artist of any form, national media, Jay-Z, Beyonce, any of them, you get to a certain plateau and it's like, oh wow. But most great artists still do it for the love and essence of the art. How does that work for you?
I think it just goes back to starting, with Bridget going, that's not who you are. We can do it. And I think my goal, even back when the kids were born, was I wanted to make my life with my family and my art seamless as much as possible. You came in the other day with your son. We took our kids with us all the time. I'd take them to the studio, let them see what daddy's doing. And what's nice is working for myself as well. You have the time. If it's a beautiful day, I'll work later. I'm going to take the kids to the park and we're going to have this time because it's just the way this day's working. And so it's always just been not, okay, this is the art. This is my life. This is, compartmentalized. I've always just tried to keep it seamless together.
No, that's wealthy. That's what you call best wealth. Totally. All the money in the world, but the freedom and autonomy to be able to do that and do something you love to where it doesn't feel like work and expose your children, that's wealth. And that's unbuyable. Let's talk about bringing this all home.
Yeah.
From the United States Capitol, right back home to Dogtown, to North Little Rock, Arkansas. History is in the new makings with this new music treasure coming.
Right.
Can you unveil or talk to us about this park that Mr. Godin and Scott Landers, not to be confused with Steve or Landers Motors.
Not the automotive.
Shout out Scott Landers for plopping yourself in the middle of this city I love and cherish, Dogtown, USA, North Little Rock, and all the great work you're doing. Tell us a little bit about who's behind this engagement for this music pavilion that will become a national tourism site.
I don't really know
right
of
here
anything
in North Little
like
Rock.
this. So Scott Landers, which, okay, little sidebar, his mom was a volunteer art teacher in my grade school, St. Patrick's over here.
Shout out St. Patrick's.
She would come in and occasionally do these art lessons. So Scott's mom would do that. She bought me my first sketch pad and drawing pencils because she thought I had a little something. And so it's funny how it all comes back around. And now Scott has ATG. Now he's putting his resources behind this. But what his people, I said, I think it'd be good to do a modern barn-like design. Most of these artists came dirt poor and, kind of did that. And then they kind of expanded off of it. It has a bit of a Thorn Crown Chapel feel and everything. But Scott's really good because he goes, all right, let's bring in an 8-foot reproduction of what's in the U.S. Capitol. There's an edition of 5 for the United States that can be produced. So number 2 will be in Argenta.
That comes along with once it's commissioned by the United States Capitol, you can do 1 for the U.S. Capitol and 5 to go elsewhere across the country.
Yeah, 4 more is what the edition size is.
Okay,
so
for
that's
8 foot
of the original.
Okay.
One. Yes. So the 8-foot reproduction, recasting of Johnny will be in front facing Main Street. And then we'll start with all these other Arkansas musicians. And then every year I'll just keep adding more. We're going to do 20, and there'll be a map. And then what we're going to be doing is casting 2 busts of each musician. The other casting goes to the hometown of the musician.
Oh, teacher.
Yeah,
I got a
see
question.
A hand up in the back
I got
of
a
the class.
question,
Who is that?
teacher. Oh, could you please tell us how many amazing musicians from the state of Arkansas we're talking about? Names, genres. I think we have ragtime, and we've got some blues.
It's really, for a state as small as Arkansas, it's incredible, the breadth of who's out there. So yes, ragtime, Scott Joplin, groundbreaking music.
Get your pen and papers out. Scott Joplin is going to take us to school now.
North Little Rock, Pharaoh Sanders, the incredible jazz musician who played with all the jazz greats and had his own career as well. Little Rock, William Grant Still, Florence Price, first African-American male, female to have major orchestras perform their work. They were taking the classical form, and both of them were bringing in, at the time, what would be called a Negro spirituals, melding that into the classical form. Then you have move up to Jimmy Driftwood with the folk kind of storytelling genre of music. And then obviously the Delta is just loaded. Loaded, baby.
Come on, I hear it all the time. I love the Delta. I have rich love for them. But come on.
I mean, where to start and where to end with the Delta? I mean, you have Howlin' Wolf that was living in West Memphis. You've got, so Sister Rosetta Tharpe and Louis Jordan, I will argue all day long. Cotton Plant, Arkansas, Brinkley, Arkansas. 10 miles apart. Those are the twin pillars upon which rock and roll is built. Look, right now, turn this off and get on YouTube and look up Sister Rosetta Tharpe and see her ripping on a guitar up above my head. Put in up above my head. Playing lead guitar. She was doing this back in the 40s. Chuck Berry would have been going, a force of nature. So she's taking rock and roll's coming from the gospel world and Sister Rosetta into rock and roll. Louis Jordan is from the swing side of things into rock and roll. In fact, Chuck Berry kind of ripped his famous lick off of Louis Jordan's guitar playing. He took swing and then brought it down to 5 people in doing this rock and roll groove that just, you go back and you go, oh, of course. And you see how these things dovetail into what rock and roll became. And it's from Arkansas.
I didn't say it. The Beatles came to see Muddy Waters. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know.
Totally.
I mean, they came from over the pond.
They're trying to do their best imitation, and then ping pongs back and forth, and the Rolling Stones and everything.
The Stones,
Led Zeppelin.
I'm just saying. And I love rock and roll too, but you give credence. Then you got Al Green and Muddy and Rush. Who else?
Okay. So a lot of people don't know the name Big Bill Broonzy.
Come on.
But he's from Pine Bluff area.
Come on.
He goes over to Europe, and like I think a lot of the African Americans are going, "Oh my God, we're being treated like real."
Check out Al Bell and Stax USA.
Al Bell's in there.
Where they go in Europe and when they were first accepted.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So Big Bill Broonzy, Van Morrison refers to him in the song. I just got finished reading Bob Dylan's biography. He talks about Big Bill Broonzy. You go back and listen to Big Bill. He was, in the 40s, he's doing a song talking about racial inequity back in the 40s. The wealth of what all these musicians did is staggering. What got me, I was taking Roman to a camp. He won a scholarship, this was years ago, in Tennessee. So he needed mosquito netting. So we're driving through Forest City. I see a Walmart. I go, hey, let's just pull in here.
You know Forest City gonna have a mosquito net.
Got to.
They got to have one.
So we go in. They don't. But the girls have. She goes, let's go to the fabric. So we're laughing. We got this scavenger hunt going. So she goes, come on out now. We'll check out. So she's probably in her 30s, black girl. And I said, who's the most famous person in Forest City? And she's like, me? I'm like, okay, close. But I said, Al Green. She goes, the singer? And I go, yeah. And she goes, She goes, let me ask my manager. He comes walking up. Black guy, probably in his 50s. I go, well, he'll know. She goes, he says that Al Green's from Forest City. And he goes, the singer? And I go, yeah. And he goes, I don't believe that's right. And that's when it was hitting me. I was like, we have a problem with the educational component of what this state has produced, the inspiration it can give to these kids from these towns going, the greatest soul singer in the world came from your backyard and you're not even aware of it. And so that's why it was real important to me that we do the 2 castings, that these are going around as part of an educational thing, that these kids from these little towns will see that whoever it is came from their hometown and influenced the world. And that doesn't have to be through music, but you're seeing that these things are possible. They're the 4-minute milers from these hometowns. You can't blame people for ignorance. They just they have to know the story. So much of this for me, it's the storytelling educational component is very important to me.
You hear that, you know, oftentimes in my environment, it's the woke mob and too woke. But how about just making people aware and making people aware about the greatness and the richness of our great state, as opposed to being ashamed of any of it. No. It's only going to make us better as people. So that's amazing. This park is coming to where and when, and how can people find out about it?
So the pavilion will be built in the Argenta Plaza. What is that, 4th, 5th Street or something, right there off Main Street. And we'll probably be breaking ground next spring, 26. You know, I'm going to start working on finishing these up, doing the casting, recasting Johnny. John Godin had a great idea about them doing some metal things, maybe with images of who's coming, so that it doesn't just look empty. You know, which, and they'll have this cone sound where you can go in front of each one and hear the story and some examples of the music of each of these people. It's like I said, I really honestly don't know of anything in the country like this. So it might be out there. I don't know, but I don't know about it.
Well, what a great sight and scene it will be for the city of North Little Rock and for the region. I liken to my friend Lane Jean saying, what's good for North Little Rock is good for the state. What's good for Little Rock is good for the state. So as we look at Central Arkansas regional attractions to bring in tourism, to keep our tax dollars here and to continue to thrive and grow, I'm excited about it. And so I'm thankful. And guys, stay tuned. Come on over to Argenta. It's a good time over here. We got a few more questions and we're going to go out, if you don't mind. I'm asking this, and take a few looks at some of your most treasured scenes and sites around Central Arkansas.
Yeah, I'd love to.
We'd love to see that. How do you think your work has contributed to the sense of shared identity and pride amongst our community?
Well, these are the kinds of things I wouldn't know about unless, one, social media and people messaging me and everything. And I think what you were talking about earlier, the feedback from the fellow people in Arkansas from Johnny Cash, you make me proud to be from Arkansas. And I'm like, wow, some of them are almost too big to even kind of digest. I mean, this real sense of emotional pride that they feel ownership in it, that I'm from Arkansas. Johnny Cash was from Arkansas. You know, the Capitol people the feedback's been really overwhelmingly positive about the sculpture itself, his story, and Bridget and I went up for the Daisy Bates unveiling as well. To hear Danita sing up there, I still get goosebumps just thinking that I was fortunate enough to be in that room for that.
Tears rolling down my face.
It was
I
incredible.
just, I could stay and to be so proud to be from here.
That's the whole
and
thing. Yeah.
To stand on the shoulders and the scarred past, and it was so moving. And to know that both of them are there, you know, Arkansas is an amazing place. We made one of the best presidents of modern day history. We've got some of the greatest music. People wonder why he played that saxophone.
Yeah.
But now I can imagine why. He was engulfed by this rich pot of music and love and culture.
But we have to trumpet this, and that's what all of this is about. You know, we have to let people know. Nathan, who shot the documentary about the creation of the Daisy and Johnny sculptures, texted me last night. He goes, "I'm in LA working on a film thing." He goes, "I was at a bar having a drink," and he goes, "I got into this argument because this guy was going, 'Oh, nothing's ever come from Arkansas.'" And he goes, "I spent all this time defending Arkansas," and I'm going,
touche.
It's part of it's part of the thing of putting these things out, because once again, the people here need to know about it.
Indeed.
And then it can go out.
Two questions. Race relations in art and the ways that they help shape the soul of a city. Thinking back through the iterations of the 50s and the 60s, and then the 80s boom of dilapidation, and you know, a lot of the soul of our urban cities were sucked up. And even in the 60s, when rural areas were dried out, race relations were still prevalent. And then we fast forward to now, and what we've seen with George Floyd and recent matters, race relations still exist, and it's a part of the rich story of our United States of America. How has public art and art shaped the soul of cities in the parallel of race relations? If you could unpack that as a question.
You know, it's interesting. I mean, I can only go from obviously my experience through all of this. And I was thinking, it's interesting. I was so incredibly naive about race relations growing up, because in my family, you never heard, it was, you treat everyone, you know, and so you starts in the family.
Or
growing up, even through high school, I thought racism was something in the history books. I didn't know there was a race. I never heard the N-word at home. I never heard it in high school, in the hallways, any of this. I remember I worked at Sirloin's Inn, started busting tables at 14, and MacArthur, who was the cook, he called me Young Kevin. I can't believe I was ever called Young Kevin. And he was telling me stories about growing up, and his family having to go to the bathroom, you know, at the gas stations around the back, coming out. And the guy, he came out, he's 9 years old or something, and getting kicked by the guy who owned the place. And I was just hard. I was going, and I thought I was hearing stories from an old person. And I found out later he was only 28. He was, I'm 14, he's telling me these stories, and I'm digesting it like it's out of an old history book.
This happened right now, real time.
Yeah. But that's how stupid I was.
Yeah.
I think it was later for me personally to come through to start going, even understanding white privilege or any of these things going. And they're going, my friends like, you get followed in a store. Why? I mean, I just couldn't. And so it was incrementally starting to kind of understand some of these things. So then as an artist, when you start to put work out, just what we were talking about earlier, about seeing how you can bring your community to see themselves in a piece of public work. There's not a lot of people who do this. So actually I painted MacArthur. I just forgot about that. He ended up in Capitol View at Stiff Station. There was a Razorback Laundry right where Markham and Kavanaugh split.
Yeah.
And he was managing that and living there. And he would walk his dog and everything. And the Oyster Bar back then asked us to do these panels. So I painted MacArthur with his dog
Huh.
And he was out there, you know, so I would try to, if I could, bring him in. When I did the Mother Earth Fountain,
Sure.
I was thinking, who would embody Mother Earth? Who do I know? And Clarice Abdul Bey, I was talking to Bridget. I said, I'm thinking about asking Clarice. She goes, oh my God, she's perfect. Just this, you know, sweet face. So I thought, she also kind of had, do you know Clarice?
No, tell the folks who Clarice Abdul Bey is.
She was, we were all at the art scene. And so
Okay.
she was there. And like I said, the face of love, just this beautiful face, but also kind of had an American Indian nose.
Correct.
And so I was kind of going, oh, I can start to bring everybody together here. So used her face and then sort of just gave more of a relaxed hair. So you're kind of going, what race is she?
I've stood in front of this sculpting many times and said, oh, you'll see it today. We're going to take you by. Absolutely. I've seen this. Great piece, by the way.
Oh, it's still one of my favorites. And when you talk about the feedback too, my friend Alice Ayers was having an opening, and I was at the art show, and this was years ago. And this older Black woman, she came over and she goes, I understand, are you the artist who did the Mother Earth Fountain? I said, yes, ma'am. And she goes, I just want to let you know, my daughter and I go there every week to pray. And I just kind of went, I'm good.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, I'm done.
That's right. That's right. Well, we're going to take a look at exactly how art unifies, like music unifies. Once you're aware and you're exposed, it really does something. And you can appreciate it from so many different various levels. And then our closing question for today, you can answer it now as we're in your studio, and maybe once after we've seen your outside pieces. In your opinion, based off of the work you have done and are currently underway and doing, do you feel that Arkansas and our community is stronger today than it was yesterday? And are you personally stronger?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
I think that arts are something interesting because I think they're so integral to who we are as human beings and bringing out the best in us. I think when you see, for me, in this community in Central Arkansas, like this pride, of course it's my, you know, I'm the artist in it, but I'm seeing more and more. I'm excited more about the public work. Like I said, when I'm doing private work and it goes to someone's home, that's great, and it's kind of keeping the boat floating or whatever for me. But when you start seeing more and more public work, and you see the community reflected in that work, where they're feeling ownership with it as well, I think it does nothing but help bond and bring people together, especially in these days where everything's so blue and red and such a divisive time, that it's easier. I prefer to try to see things in a positive light.
I think the majority of us would want to too.
They want to. And for me personally, that's why I think this project I'm excited about, because I think it checks so many boxes. Music is something that brings people together, bonds people. The people that just happen to have been the cream that rose to the top to be so influential are male and female, and the Black and the white. And so I love the way this project is organically feeling like a project of love that's coming up, that hopefully will give those positive vibes throughout the state as these other sculptures go out all the way around. Maybe it's a little idealistic, but that's my feeling about it.
Well, there's nothing idealistic about the love of humanity.
Yeah.
And the love of humanity makes us all stronger. And I'm definitely moved and touched by the time you've spent with us today. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go out on a little field trip and see some of Mr. Kresse's most beloved pieces around Central Arkansas, some of his murals, and maybe one of his beloved sculptings. And until next time, we want you to like, subscribe, please share all of this. And we want to be stronger. We hope you've been stronger by this episode today than you were before you found us. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kev.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you for watching. Please be sure to follow us on all social media platforms, streaming platforms, and be sure to subscribe.